Hello everyone, my name is Johan Steyn. Thank you to the organizers of the AI Africa Expo for giving me this opportunity. There are some amazing people speaking at this event, and I really do look forward to listening to all the various sessions and to learn as much as I possibly can. As you all know, most businesses globally are scrambling to embrace the new technology, digitization, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the like. But studies show globally that most businesses are not successful. You might even be in a business that tried some AI of some sorts, whatever that means, and either it was a total failure or it did not reap the success that you were hoping that you would gain through such an initiative. You look at all your competitors and you look at the news. So many companies are embracing AI. We hear about all these success stories, and certainly there are many success stories, but most businesses fail. So if you represent a business that has failed in their AI journey or that has really struggled and that would like to try it again, then hopefully you will find this talk of great value. So what would I like to talk about? What will you be getting out of this conversation? I want to talk to you about the things you should consider, the very important things, before you embark on your AI journey. Or if your AI journey has been unsuccessful so far, to maybe step back and look at the things that you could put in place to be more successful when you try this again. I want to talk about some of the pitfalls that you need to avoid, and also what are the first steps you can take on this journey. A little bit about me before we get going. I work for IQbusiness, the largest homegrown technology consulting firm in South Africa. I'm also involved with the Institute of Information Technology Professionals of South Africa, the IITPSA, where I chair the special interest group on artificial intelligence and robotics. And then I also have my own website, aiforbusiness.net. A few weeks ago, I started interviewing some of the leaders in this field, and I encourage you to go to my website and look at some of those interviews. There's so much we can learn from these people's experience. A lot of what I will talk about today is actually just common sense. These are steps we should take when we embark on any change journey, when we introduce any new kind of technology, but we often forget, and that's why we fail. I want to tell you a story from my career. When I was in my early 20s, I worked for a company that imported the first modems into the local market. And one day we had a meeting, all the big shots of the company were there, also the people from this internet service provider, and I was the product manager for these modems. And my boss told me, please don't say a thing. Just sit there and learn, but don't say a thing. And the meeting was all about how can we sell modems online. And all these very smart people with great experience, some of them with great wealth, were talking away, they were drawing on the whiteboard. And I was just sitting there and I was saying to myself, am I the only one that is seeing the obvious here? So reluctantly and with a bit of courage, I put up my hand, and my boss looked at me in a funny way, kind of put down your hand. And they noticed me, the chair of the meeting, and she said, what do you want to say, Johan? And I said, guys, forgive me if this is the stupidest thing you've ever heard. But if people are not online, how are they going to buy a modem online? Think about this. You don't have a modem, you don't have access to the internet, and I'm talking about 20, 25 years ago now. How are you going to buy a modem? And the meeting room was quiet for a while, and I thought, I am going to get fired today. And then luckily they all acknowledged that I have a point, such an obvious point. And they changed the whole strategy, luckily, because imagine what a failure it would have been. But I learned a great lesson that day. Sometimes we are so entrenched in our projects, in our technology, that we can't step back and just look at what are the obvious things. So my talk today, hopefully, will address some of these very obvious things that we should consider in order to embark on a successful artificial intelligence journey in our business. The news media is full of stories about why businesses fail. And I'm sure you see that every day in your social media feed. And again, as I said, there are some success stories. Some of you actually may have success stories about your own AI journey. A lot of businesses fail. So before you waste time, before you waste money, before you risk your career and your reputation, allow me to share with you some of these very common sense steps that you have to take before you embark on this journey. One of the first problems I have experienced in my career is that we get a mandate from the top. So the CIO is flown by one of the big global vendors to Silicon Valley, where he or she meets with Facebook and Google and Alibaba and Uber and Spotify. And it's great that they have these meetings and that they learn. But then they come back and they want us to implement whatever they've seen in Silicon Valley. So now they want us to Spotify this big old bank, or suddenly we're all in DevOps squads and learning new lingo and things we're not used to. But there's no change management, there's no proper introduction, and you can't expect every large traditional business, very federated, skills lacking, old systems, to suddenly become a Google or an Alibaba or a Facebook. And we can learn from them, as I said, but we should not try and become like them. Because if you represent a telco or a big bank, maybe a very old bank, or any other established traditional business, just becoming a Google or an Uber is going to be impossible. So yes, learn from them, but don't make the mistakes that so many companies have been making by becoming or trying to become just another Google. And this is a tricky one. If the big boss does come back from Silicon Valley, or after having read a book or having attended a conference, and you are just told you better implement AI in your business, or it's one of your KPIs maybe, you have to think carefully about it. So yes, you have to do what you're told, obviously, but you have to take the right steps. So it can't just be a tick box exercise so that you can report one day to say there's some sort of AI, some sort of machine learning in my business. So this, in my experience, is the first mistake we make. Just some sort of a mandate, haven't thought it through, maybe scared about what all our competitors are doing and the news we're reading about how they're all embracing AI. Suddenly we just need to rush in as if this kind of technology is going to be a silver bullet that's going to fix all of our problems. The second big mistake we make, in my experience and in my opinion, is that we put the cart before the horses, so to speak. This kind of technology, the introduction of this kind of technology in your business should always be a people-first initiative, not a technology-first initiative. I think a lot of business leaders do not appreciate what a massive change it is going to be to their ways of working, to their operating model, to their staff, when they introduce this kind of technology, or even when they start talking about it. We can thank Hollywood, unfortunately, for the impression that most people have when they hear about robotics and artificial intelligence. We think about the doomsday scenario, when these kind of robots are going to take over the world and destroy us all. Or in the least, people fear that they're going to lose their jobs. I think we all know that losing jobs is inevitable when we introduce this kind of technology and the efficiencies it can bring. But I often speak about cobotics. Can we use this technology to make our lives and our jobs better? So the way we introduce this technology into our business, we should always think about the people first. We should take people by the hand. We should lead our organization on this journey. We should have some small wins early on, and later on I will speak about your first pilot, so that people can realize and that word of mouth can spread that this technology is great. It's helping me do a better job. It's helping me not focusing on all this repetitive nonsense and reporting that I've always spent hours on. I can now actually utilize this technology to do the things that excite me, the things that I'm good at, and the things that allow me to offer maximum benefit to the business I'm working for. So this is the second mistake. Remember, do not let this be a technology-driven conversation in itself. Do not let the technology department drive this conversation or this initiative. It should be a business initiative. It should be a people-first initiative. And then only, underscoring it and supporting it, it should be a technology initiative. Latching on to my earlier point, take people on the journey. One of the biggest things, before you even look at your data and your modeling and your skills and all those things, you have to take people on the journey with you. You have to formulate a proper and efficient change management plan, a communication plan, a forum where people can express their fears. Just because we know, or we think we know a lot about artificial intelligence and machine learning and robotics, don't think that everyone else in your organization knows as much as you do. Because people don't know, they will replace that knowledge that they think they have with the wrong kind of information, the scaremongering, of the worrying about our jobs, with the career worries, and all those things. People need to know what it is. People are also confused. They think, for instance, that robotic process automation is the same as artificial intelligence. So they might say, we want robots in our business, where they actually mean artificial intelligence. We may laugh, but some people still think, when we speak about robotics, that is actual machines like in a car manufacturing plant, that this big red thing that walks very heavily is going to come down the aisle one day to my desk, this robot, and it's going to take my job away. So take people on the journey with you. Education brings peace. When people have information about what this technology really is, and when they have the assurance that you're going to take them on this journey and they don't have to fear, this is the bedrock of a successful artificial intelligence journey in your business. The next thing to look out for is to ensure that your artificial intelligence journey, your objectives and your planning aligns to your business objectives. It brings me back to the fact that it should not be a technology first conversation. People first, and secondly, it should be a business first conversation. What problems are you trying to solve with artificial intelligence? And just maybe, artificial intelligence is not the answer to those problems. It brings us back to what I said, that tick box exercise, that mandate from the top. Maybe this technology is not the answer, or maybe it's not the answer. Now, let me give you an example. Some months back, I spoke to one of my banking clients, and they called me in to talk to them about introducing AI into their human capital management division. And I said to them, if you would allow me, let's agree on the following. For the next hour, none of us in this room are allowed to use the words robotics, RPA, AI, machine learning, and the like. And they agreed. So I took a pen, I stood at the whiteboard, and I said, so tell me what kind of problems you want to solve with this technology. And they were a loss for words. You see, what often happens with our customers and with the businesses we work in, we've already made up our minds that this technology will solve our problems or all of our problems. And we know that that's not the case. So in the case of this banking client, their most fundamental processes in this division were not documented, were not understood. So they thought that introducing some sort of machine learning model will sort out their processes just automatically like a silver bullet. It would have been a huge disaster. So I advise them, take a few steps back, look at your processes, document it, make sure your processes are matured. Then we start looking at automating it. They were a Microsoft house, so we could look at Microsoft Flow. Later on, we could look at robotic process automation. And only much later on, if it's really needed, we can look at artificial intelligence. But remember that. What is the business problem you're trying to solve? What are your business objectives and KPIs? And start off. So after you looked at your organizational maturity, after you looked at taking people on the journey, holding their hand, look at what business problems you are going to be addressing. Because that's where you will have your first successes. That's where you will win people over. If some of your biggest business problems can be solved by this kind of technology, then you will get the mandate, you will get more funding, and you can have the opportunity to drive it out further into your business. The next thing to consider is your in-house skills and also the future skills you need when you embrace this kind of a journey. Now, you might be working with a vendor partner, and I will speak about that in a moment. But consider what skills you have in-house: technical skills, data skills, change management skills, skills around target operating model, and all these other things. And then determine what you need to do to take people on a journey to upskill them. So you need some sort of an end picture in mind. Again, going back to the business problems you're solving and things like that. So what kind of skills do your people need in order to efficiently and effectively embrace and drive this kind of technology? And then have a roadmap to upskill them onto this journey. Think about the future skills. You have to have this roadmap. You can't just embrace a vendor and hope that they're going to do it, and then one day when they go away without a proper plan, that your people when they are left with this kind of technology on their own to manage, that they will be able to cope with it. So it's technical readiness within the skill set of your people, data science readiness, and all the like, change readiness. Make sure that people that are working for you are being upskilled. This will also alleviate their fears. This will also be a great career opportunity for them to know that they are becoming more efficient, they are getting themselves ready for the future. So if they know that their skills are being updated and that their skills are becoming more and more relevant as you introduce this technology, you will win them over. You will alleviate a lot of fears. You may also find that there are some real champions in your business, people who have not had the opportunity to shine yet. But if you give them the right opportunity to embrace this technology, to be upskilled efficiently, you might discover that you have some amazing winners in your business who can help you take your business forward with this kind of technology. So I've alluded to partnerships. Make sure that you are working with the right partners. Now, yes, there's most likely a very specific and stringent procurement process in your business, which is a good thing. So you might start off with your current vendors, your approved vendors. What kind of skills and technology can they offer you? And it's most likely not one single vendor who can take you on this journey. Some of your partners can help you with the people readiness, with the change management. Some of your partners can help you with the upskilling of your people and the roadmap to get your people to where they need to be. Some of your partners will have the right kind of tech, machine learning models, cloud technology, and the like. So don't go with one partner, I would suggest. Use the right partners. Make sure that it's not a partner that is just selling you fluff. It's often those that have flown your CIO to Silicon Valley and now they want the business. The biggest thing for me here is when you embrace your partners and engage your partners, you have to think about what are you getting out of this? What are you going to be left with? So if your partner is going to help you with some sort of a readiness assessment, some sort of initial pilot, when they are done, what are you left with? What should you be left with? In my view, what kind of IP are you paying for? And are you making sure that that IP becomes yours? Are your people going to be upskilled? That is very important. What kind of skills, Mr. Vendor, are you leaving my people with? And how can you prove it? How can we engage on an outcomes-based, risk-sharing engagement to make sure that I essentially, as the client, can go on without you? My people and my kind of tech is ready to go on without you. And certainly I'm going to call you in for the next initiative, for the next objective. And if I get stuck, I will call you in. But make sure, because this is also one of the reasons why these initiatives fail. You're dealing with the wrong vendor, you're dealing with a single vendor, and you're not making sure that contractually and legally you've agreed on the kind of IP and training, upskilling, and the like that you are left with after engaging a vendor on an artificial intelligence journey. Another thing to consider is which business functions in your business is ready for artificial intelligence. Some months back, after speaking at a conference, somebody came up to me and said, without you knowing, that's me now, much about this person's business, where is the best place to start on an artificial intelligence journey? And I said, anything that touches your customers, anything that can make you serve your customers better, so we can talk here about the likes of customer experience, anything that helps you through modeling and through data analysis, through machine learning, can determine what products and services your clients need without them maybe even knowing that they need this. So always think about how are you going to make the life of your customers better? How are you going to enhance their journey with you, their experience with you? And how are you also going to increase your own revenue and your own service offerings through utilizing this kind of technology? And that's external facing. Internal facing, there are a lot of areas where you can look at. Things like procurement, sales, legal, and other business practices that can greatly utilize this kind of technology. So there are most likely some of the business areas in your own business that's ready for this engagement. It comes back to that readiness assessment. Not only looking at your culture and your people and the partnerships that you have, but which area in your business, facing clients, but also facing your internal processes, is most suited and most important, and will most likely give you the best value early on when you embark on this kind of journey. The next very important step is to start small. It comes back to taking your people on their journey, using the right partnerships, ensuring that there's sufficient change in your organization. So when you have selected the right business area, when you know that your people are ready, that they are on the right kind of training roadmap to be ready for the future of this technology, when you've embarked on working with the right kind of partnerships and the right kind of win-win risk-sharing engagement, and you have identified the right business area, start small. Don't go very big. And again, everyone, this applies, and back to my earlier slide, this is such common sense. This applies to any change you make in your business, any new technology you implement. Don't think AI is going to solve all your business problems all across your business. Start small in that area that's going to show value early on, and that's going to win people over. And based on the success of that pilot and also the learnings that you and your partners and your staff have gained through this initiative, you can then look at the next round of pilots until eventually you have infiltrated your business where needed with this kind of technology and with success stories. Start small. Don't try and make your whole business an AI business. Pick an area that is going to give you the mandate and the momentum and the future funding to take this journey forward. As I said in the beginning, this is all just a lot of common sense. But don't let your technology department, don't let your vendors put wool over your eyes. Think of all the things I've said. It is possible to embark successfully on this journey. It is needed and necessary. Do it smart. Make sure that you take your organization and your people with you, that you show success early on. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I really look forward to look at all the other sessions and to learn with you. Before I finish, just a reminder about my website, aiforbusiness.net. Look at the articles I published there. Look at the interviews I'm doing with global AI leaders. Enjoy the rest of this conference. And thank you so very much.